Jerome JT 62 back here with you on the Pegasus 12. Wow. What is that? It's a mess. That's what that is. In this video, we're going to look at wire management. What I'm going to do to clean this up. It sounds like something you're interested in. It's coming right up. This is part 8 of the Pegasus 12 build. In this section we're going to be covering wiring. Wiring is one of those things that sometimes comes at an end of a project. We've already devoted a whole bunch of time into it, and some people just rather tie wrap that up and call it a day. They want to get this up and running. Wire management, in my opinion, is very important. It makes your project look amateur or professional. It helps in the troubleshooting. You're able to trace wires, get back to where you need to. If something goes wrong or it's not right, and you'll learn a little something from it. There's a couple tools that we're going to be using, or that I'm going to be using. This is what I use for all of my projects. So, you know, if I'm doing electrical, I didn't just buy these and go out and buy them. They've been collected over time. So we'll go over those. One of the first and most important to me, soldering iron. Good soldering iron. Heat gun on the end of it. For heat shrink, I don't like using lighters. Various connectors, heat shrink tubing, tie wraps. I very rarely use electrical tape, but in some instances, I always have it. Various tools, wire strippers, multimeter. This is what you call an open barrel pen crimper. This is also open barrel pen crimper. This particular frame has different frames you can buy for it. Some of these are coax. I have open barrel. You can get insulated, whatever you want. So you can change the frame out in that to what you need. This does the same thing as this frame. I usually use something like this when I get in hard to reach areas, but generally I'll use this one. It's better connection, more solid. It's a bag of kind of hard to see through. I've had this for years. These are numerous resistors and other electrical doodads and knickknacks in there that sometimes I find myself using. Those are wire splicers. I won't be using those most likely, but I'll definitely be needing the resistors for the proximity sensors. And another very important tool, diagonal side cutters, flush cut. I like the flush cut. So, we're going to get started on this. I'm going to start doing some basic routing. We'll come back and look at a section at a time. I'll probably start on the steppers. Got to see how much wire I'm going to need here. You can see how much wire we have here. This is like ridiculous. You can't tie wrap that up. So these are going to get cut back. Again, I have the pens for that. Maybe I'll do a little short tutorial on how to crimp those down. You can't use your standard Home Depot electrical pen crimpers for those. Can't use pliers. You need the tool that I showed you earlier, the open barrel. You can maybe pick one of those up, or it's a lot cheaper than the ratcheting style that I have, but those aren't very expensive. I'll put a link if you want to look at getting a set of those. So we're going to get started on this, and we'll be right back. So here's a little shot of how I plan on routing wires. This is how I plan it out. Yes, that's electrical tape. It's not permanent, trust me. What I have coming for that is it's an actual cover that you can purchase for $20.20. A track cover to keep dirt and grime and stuff like that out for aesthetic purposes mainly. And I'm going to use that to cover the wires. I don't think I'm going to go the full length with these wires. I'm going to cut it in 1-inch sections, most likely, to hold it within the frame itself. Then it just comes around, and that's got to be on the back side there for the Z-axis. And I separated the two wires, and I'm giving myself the option, because I don't think if I run the Y-axis and the Z in the same channel that the cover is going to fit in there. So I'm making spacing out and giving myself that slack for that purpose. If I can run them both, that's fine. Then they're going to come up here, and as you can see, the Z-axis is too short when you route it. As long as that cable is going around this machine, it's too short. But if you look at the Y-axis, look how long that is. And that only needs to go here. So that means the rest of this would have to be jumbled up to make that connection. So what's going to happen is this is going to get spliced. The excess wire that I don't need from the Y-axis is going to get spliced here. So this connector will be cut back about right there, and then all these pins will be extracted. The excess Y-axis will get cut back, and I'll just run it up to where I need it within here. And that excess wire, the fitting on this side is going to stay on here and take up the slack of this one that has been cut off, and then I'll trim it to length. So that way I only have to do one connector. Then this one, the pins are extracted when I get up to the Y-axis and decide where I want it. Then the pins will get crimped down, reinstalled to make that connection. I hope you get what I'm saying. If you don't get what I'm saying, you'll see what I'm talking about when we finish that section up. Also, the cable chains did come in today. This one I already had. This one I'm going to try to work that out on the x-axis up top, and the extruder, actually it's going to be this bigger one. The extruder, all the wiring is going to come through this one, possibly. The smaller one, I only need to run the x-axis wire through it, and then I may have to jumble a couple other wires to come through, and this is probably going to get mounted up here, come down and loop around and get mounted somewhere in the vicinity. I'm waiting for that magical moment, because I have to look at this for a while to see what I'm going to do with it. So that's what I'm working on at this point. You can see how the wires are already getting cleaned up. There's no mess. They'll definitely be cleaned up on this side once they get up here. Don't sell yourself short when you cut the harnesses. Always leave yourself some slack. It doesn't need to be absolutely perfect, but you don't need 3 feet. So here's part of the intent of how I plan on routing this wiring. I may be able to get away with the stock ribbon cable. I think it will be enough. I'd like a little more slack in there to be able to push that all the way up. I may leave it. We'll see about that. Again, I'm using the tape for routing purposes, so I know what's what. The y-axis proximity sensor is going to sit right here, and the wiring just goes through the bottom channel. It'll be captured underneath there all the way to the back. We already got a little shot of the backside with the tape on there. I decided the best option, rather than tuck this into the channel, was to use sleeving. There's too many wires to go through here to go into that channel and put a cover in it. So that will be in that position. And this will be clamped up here, come up to here, and then sit right here. You can see where the wires are. That's just the excess where I need to cut them back and repen. But you can see where we're going with that. The wiring is going to be pretty straightforward and clean. It's going to come out of here, up here, through here. I'll probably tie wrap it about right there, maybe. We'll see. And then it'll just come in and branch out from there. So all of this excess that you see that usually gets tie wrapped up will be gone. I'm still thinking about the heated bed wiring. Cable chain is not an option for this, so that may get sleeved. Now it has to move freely, and it'll come up to here. The main power goes straight to the power supply, and then the relay to turn it on will get, again, routed through here and up to here. Since I'm still waiting on the track cover. I don't want to be too hasty in cutting harnesses yet. Hopefully it'll be here tomorrow or possibly by the next day. The next time you see this, all that wiring will be permanent the way I want it to be, or the way I foresee it to be. The big thing is you don't want to get in a big hurry and start cutting harnesses before you have all the parts you need. So you go ahead and get that section of this done, and then we'll be back and we'll talk about what I'm going to do with the XZ axis, how I'm going to mount the cable chain, and also the X-axis motor here, which is always traveling up and down. What I'm going to do about the cable chain for that. I may end up printing something later on once I get all this together and just leave that at length, and we'll see what we can do from there. So in the interest of not making a 50-minute video, we're going to close this out and we're going to call it wiring part 1. We'll see how far we can get with the Z-axis, or not the Z, but the extruder, hot end, what I'm going to do about the cable chain in the next video. All this will be cleaned up, like I said. And then we'll move on from there. Once again, please like, comment, subscribe. Thanks for watching.